Okay, so picture this. You've got this Himalayan haven, right? A place so steeped in myth, they actually call it Devbhoomi, the land of the gods.
Right. And you immediately think of, well, stunning mountains, obviously.
Exactly. But today, we're trying to go a bit deeper than just the postcard view.
Hmm.
We're doing a proper deep dive into Himachal Pradesh.
Yeah, we've got a good amount of source material here. It covers history, culture, food, even the challenges the region faces now.
So the mission is really to unpack all of that, get beyond just the surface beauty people might know. We'll touch on some, really intriguing bits, ancient origins, specific conflicts, even a world record dance.
And things like environmental leadership, but also modern issues should be quite revealing.
Okay, let's dive in. History first. The
Yeah.
sources mentioned it goes way, way back.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking mentions in ancient texts like the Rig Veda and the Mahabharata, foundational stuff.
Wow. So these aren't just recent settlements. These texts talk about who lived there early on.
Yeah, they mention tribes known as the Dadasas, Kasas, and Kiratas. These were the early groups who sort of laid the foundation for what Himachal became.
Okay, so it wasn't always one single place then. The info points to a medieval period where it was more fragmented.
Exactly. Broken up into lots of smaller kingdoms and princely states. You hear names like Chamba, Kangra, Kulu, Mandi.
Each with its own ruler, its own forts, probably.
Pretty much. Each with its own identity, its own little power base. And that naturally put them in the path of, well, larger historical forces.
Like the Mughals, I saw references to them.
Right, Mughal ambitions, definitely. Then there were power struggles involving the Sikhs and the Gurkhas, and eventually, of course, the British influence grew significantly.
So it was really caught up in the bigger picture of Indian history.
Deeply intertwined, yes.
Ugh.
Which leads us to a really key date.
January 25th, 1971, that's when it became a full state of India, right?
That's the one. A massive milestone. And after that, you really see this growth in areas it's now known for tourism, obviously.
Those mountain escapes everyone dreams of.
Yeah, and horticulture, think apples. Lots of apples.
Hmm.
Plus a big push in education.
Interesting. Now, what about conflicts? The sources mention some, but maybe not like huge constant warfare.
Correct. It wasn't like a major perpetual battleground, but it definitely saw conflict. The Anglo-Gorkha War, 1814 to 1816, that's a significant one mentioned.
And what was the outcome of that?
Well, basically, it marked the end of Gorkha dominance in the region. It really shifted the power dynamics.
And the local rulers, how did they react to the British taking more control? Was it uniform?
Not at all. The sources suggest a real mix. Some rulers chose to ally with the British, others resisted. It was a complex political scene.
And then after India's independence, the nature of conflict shifted again.
Precisely. It became less about territorial battles and more, democratic and civil struggles, debates and pushes focused on infrastructure, building schools, regional development plans, that sort of thing.
Right, the challenges of building a modern state.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely into the culture, the spirit of the place. The sources really emphasize this deep spiritual connection.
To nature and the local deities, the devtas.
Yes, these devtas, they're not just figures to be worshipped. They're woven into the fabric of village life. People believe they influence everything from the weather to community well-being.
It paints a picture of a very community-focused society. Simple, warm people is how it's often described.
Very much so. And you see it reflected in the landscape too, that distinctive wooden architecture, the stone houses built to last, the colorful temples dotted around.
And the clothing. You read about the kolites, the patu,
Yeah.
and the very distinctive Himachali topi, the cap.
Ah, yes, the topi. It's more than just a hat, The sources point out that the colors and styles can actually vary by region.
Oh, really? Like a little badge of where you're from?
Sort of, yeah. A subtle indicator. This strong local identity comes through in the food, too.
Okay, tell me about Himachali food. The descriptions make it sound wholesome.
Simple, nutritious, but really flavorful. That's the general vibe. It reflects the land, the agriculture.
I was intrigued by this dam. It's a traditional festive meal.
That's right. Served at big occasions like weddings, festivals. It's usually a platter with rice, different kinds of dal or lentils, maybe madra, which is a creamy chickpea curry, and often some sweet rice, too.
Sounds like a proper feast. And siddu, what's that?
Siddu is great. It's basically a steamed bread made from wheat flour, often stuffed with spiced fillings like walnuts, poppy seeds, sometimes dal. Very comforting.
Any other local specialties mentioned?
Oh, yeah, the sources list quite a few. Chana madra comes up again. Babru, which is like a fried bread. Tudkia bath, a spiced rice dish. And bay.
Mate.
It's a curry made from lotus stems. quite unique.
Interesting ingredients.
Yeah.
And drinks. Besides tea, I assume.
Chai is everywhere, of course. But the sources also mention local brews, especially in tribal areas. Things called lugdi or chakti, often made from fermented rice or barley, part of their specific cultural traditions.
Right. And festivals must be a huge part of the culture. Kulu Dusera sounds massive.
It's world famous. The sources really highlight the processions of deities brought down from the hills, hundreds of them. It must be an incredible sight, that level of devotion.
Definitely sounds like it. Are there other major ones?
Yeah, there's the Lavi Fair in Rampur, which is historically significant as a trade fair, and Lusar, the Tibetan New Year, which is big in areas like Lahore and Spiti, showing that cultural mix.
So different regions have their own key events, too.
Absolutely. Plus, lots of other vibrant local festivals, Halda, Fagli, the Minjar Mela in Chamba. They all involve traditional songs, dancing, and big community feasts. It's all about coming together.
And the dances themselves. Nati is mentioned quite a bit.
Nati is huge. It actually holds a Guinness World Record for the largest folk dance ever performed. Thousands of people dancing together.
Wow. That really speaks to the community spirit.
It really does. It reflects joy, devotion,
Yeah.
sometimes tells stories. Then you have completely different styles, like the Chham dance.
That's the one performed by Buddhist monks.
Yes, in Lahore Spiti. Very elaborate masks, symbolic movements. It's more of a spiritual, ritualistic performance.
Fascinating contrast. Any others mentioned?
A few others, like Kayang, Baju Band, Chora, different forms reflecting different local traditions. And they're usually accompanied by specific instruments.
Like what?
Traditional drums like the dal and nagra, the shinai, which is that reed instrument, and flutes. They create the whole atmosphere.
So moving from culture to sort of the inherent strengths, the beauty is undeniable, right? Manali, Spiti, Shimla, Dalhousie, the names alone conjure images.
Absolutely stunning scenery. That's a major strength. But the sources also point to other things, maybe less obvious.
Like?
A generally peaceful lifestyle. Compared to many places, relatively low crime rates, cleaner air, and that strong sense of community life we talked about.
That's a huge asset.
It is. And importantly, things like a high literacy rate and health facilities that are, well, improving,
Yeah.
signs of real social progress.
And I thought the point about sustainability was interesting. Being one of the first Indian states to ban plastic bags.
Yeah, that was quite forward-thinking. It really speaks to perhaps that underlying respect for the environment, that connection to nature.
But it's not all perfect, is it? The sources are clear about the challenges, too. Landslides seem like a big one.
A very serious issue, yes, especially during the monsoon season. And the sources do suggest it's sometimes worsened by over-construction or unregulated building.
Right. And climate change must be hitting hard there, too.
Definitely. Melting glaciers, more erratic weather patterns. It's a huge concern for a mountain region that impacts water sources, agriculture, everything.
Then there are the economic and social issues. Unemployment?
Yes, that's mentioned, leading to some migration, particularly of younger people looking for better job opportunities elsewhere. It's a common challenge for many beautiful but less industrialized regions.
And tourism, while a strength, can also be a challenge. Over-tourism.
Exactly. It brings money in, but the sheer number of visitors can put a real strain on resources, water, waste management, and potentially affect the local culture and environment if it's not managed carefully.
A delicate balance to strike.
Very much so. And finally, the sources mention a growing concern about drug addiction,
Oh. Whereabouts specifically?
particularly highlighted in some border areas like around Kulu and Mandi. It's a serious social issue they're grappling with.
So wrapping this all up then, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive? Himachal Pradesh seems like a place of real contrasts.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's where, ancient myths and traditions are bumping up against modern life, where incredible natural beauty exists alongside real challenges.
A blend of serene beauty, a deep spiritual soul, but also this resilient population.
Exactly. The sources show you the beauty, the culture, the spirituality, but also the resilience of the people facing historical shifts and these contemporary problems.
And acknowledging those challenges, the landslides, climate change, social issues, is important for understanding the full picture. It's not just a mountain paradise.
Right. And perhaps how Himachal continues to navigate these issues, that's where its real spirit, its resilience, will keep showing itself.
So for anyone listening, if they get the chance to visit, the message is go beyond the viewpoints.
Yeah, I'd say so. Try to connect a bit. Talk to local people. Try the food beyond the standard tourist menus. Listen to the stories. There's so much more there than just the scenic backdrop.
That's a really nice thought to end on. It makes you think, doesn't it, about how that tension between holding on to tradition and embracing change plays out everywhere, in all sorts of unique
Right.
places, maybe even in our own lives, trying to find that balance.